What if I told you that in parts of California, entire neighborhoods are at risk of running out of water within years, not decades? Studies show groundwater levels in some regions have dropped so fast that wells are literally going dry, leaving families without a reliable supply. At the same time, billions of dollars in real estate sit on land that may soon become unlivable. Sound extreme? That's exactly what experts are warning right now. But here's the part most people are missing. This isn't just an environmental issue. It's turning into a full-blown housing crisis. As water becomes more scarce, property values in certain cities are starting to stagnate or even fall, while insurance costs quietly rise. Some homeowners are already facing a harsh reality. Their dream home could become a financial trap. In this video, we're breaking down 10 California cities where the water crisis is triggering a hidden housing meltdown. Backed by research and real trends, these are places where the future is changing fast, and what you discover might seriously change how you think about buying property. Number 10, Fresno. When people think about affordable housing in California, Fresno often comes up as a top option. Lower home prices, expanding neighborhoods, and strong agricultural roots made it attractive for families and investors alike. But beneath the surface, literally, there's a growing problem that's starting to change everything: groundwater depletion. Fresno relies heavily on underground water sources, especially during dry years. But recent studies have shown that these aquifers are being drained faster than they can naturally refill. In some nearby areas, wells have already gone dry, forcing residents to truck in water just to survive. And here's where it gets serious. When water access becomes uncertain, the value of land and homes can drop dramatically. This is already starting to impact the housing market. Buyers are becoming more cautious, especially in rural and semi-urban parts of Fresno, where water infrastructure is weaker. Banks and insurers are also paying attention. In some cases, securing a mortgage or affordable insurance is becoming more difficult, simply because of water risk. And it doesn't stop there. New regulations aimed at controlling groundwater usage, like California's Sustainable Groundwater Management Act, could limit how much water is available in the future. That means farms shrink, jobs shift, and demand for housing may weaken over time. Takeaway: a cheap home in Fresno might look like a great deal today, but without a stable water future, it could turn into a long-term liability. What do you think? Would you buy a home in a city facing water shortages? Drop your opinion below. We put a lot of effort into bringing you real insights like this. So don't forget to subscribe. It's just one click. Number 9, Bakersfield. At first glance, Bakersfield looks like a city full of opportunity, affordable homes, expanding suburbs, and a strong job market tied to farming and energy. But behind this growth lies a serious and often overlooked issue: water overuse driven by agriculture. This region sits in the heart of California's farming belt, where massive amounts of water are needed to keep crops alive, especially during long, intense droughts. Here's where things get concerning. Studies have shown that the groundwater in and around Bakersfield is being pumped at unsustainable levels, faster than nature can replace it. Farmers are digging deeper wells, which increases costs and puts pressure on the entire water system. And when water becomes harder to access, it doesn't just affect farms. It hits homeowners and the housing market directly. In recent years, extreme heat combined with water shortages has started to push utility costs higher. Residents are paying more just to maintain basic living conditions. At the same time, insurance companies are quietly adjusting their risk models. Areas with higher drought exposure may soon face rising premiums or even reduced coverage options. This creates a ripple effect. Buyers begin to hesitate. Investors start to question long-term value. And suddenly, a once affordable hotspot begins to look like a high-risk investment zone. Even small uncertainties around water can lead to slower home sales and weaker price growth. And here's the bigger picture. As regulations tighten and water access becomes more controlled, the economic backbone of Bakersfield, its agriculture, could face serious challenges. That means jobs, population growth, and housing demand could all shift in unpredictable ways. Takeaway: Bakersfield may seem like a smart buy today, but with water scarcity increasing, it could quietly turn into a risky long-term bet. Do you think cities dependent on farming can survive long-term water shortages? Share your thoughts below. We put serious effort into uncovering insights like this. So make sure to subscribe. It's just one click. Number 8. Stockton. On paper, Stockton looks like a city on the rise. Its location near the California Delta, relatively lower home prices, and growing population have made it attractive for buyers escaping more expensive cities. But beneath that growth lies a problem that doesn't always make headlines: declining water quality and ecosystem stress. Stockton depends heavily on the Delta system, a critical water source for millions of Californians. But this system is under increasing pressure from drought, saltwater intrusion, and pollution. As freshwater levels drop, saltwater from nearby bays can creep in, affecting the quality of drinking water. At the same time, agricultural runoff and urban waste are adding more strain to an already fragile system. Now here's where it connects to housing. When water quality becomes uncertain, cities are forced to invest heavily in treatment and infrastructure. That means higher utility bills for residents and increased costs for maintaining homes. Over time, this makes living in the area less attractive, especially for new buyers comparing options. Real estate trends are already starting to reflect this shift. Buyers today are more informed than ever, and concerns about long-term water reliability are beginning to influence decisions. Homes that once sold quickly may now sit longer on the market, and price growth can slow as confidence drops. There's also a regulatory angle. Stricter environmental rules aimed at protecting the Delta could limit water availability for urban use in the future. That adds another layer of uncertainty for developers and investors planning long-term projects in Stockton. Takeaway: Stockton's growth story is real, but so is its water risk. If water quality continues to decline, it could quietly turn this promising city into a market filled with hesitation instead of demand. Would water quality concerns stop you from buying a home? Let me know in the comments. We put real effort into bringing you insights like this. So don't forget to subscribe. It's just one click. Number 7. Modesto. At first glance, Modesto feels like a stable, family-friendly city, affordable housing, a strong community, and deep roots in agriculture. But behind this calm image, a quiet conflict is growing, a battle for water between farms and urban life. And this tension is starting to ripple through the housing market in ways many people don't expect. Modesto sits in one of the most productive farming regions in the country. Crops here depend heavily on irrigation, especially during California's long dry seasons. But as drought conditions intensify, water is becoming more limited, and priorities are shifting. Farmers need water to survive, cities need water to grow, and there simply isn't enough for both at the same levels anymore. This is where things get complicated for homeowners. In recent years, residents have started facing water restrictions, especially during peak drought periods. Lawns dry out, usage is monitored, and daily life begins to change. While this might seem manageable at first, it sends a strong signal to potential buyers. This area is under stress, and buyers are paying attention. Housing demand can slow when people feel uncertain about basic resources like water. Families relocating from other cities may think twice before choosing a place where restrictions are becoming normal. Over time, this can lead to longer selling times and weaker price growth. There's also a long-term concern. As California enforces stricter groundwater rules, both farmers and cities in Modesto may face reduced access. That could impact jobs, population growth, and overall economic stability, key drivers of housing demand. Takeaway: Modesto may look calm on the surface, but the growing water conflict could quietly reshape its future and its housing market. Do you think cities should prioritize farms or families when water is limited? Drop your opinion below. We put a lot of effort into these insights, so don't forget to subscribe. It's just one click. Number 6. Sacramento. As the capital of California, Sacramento has long been seen as a safe and growing housing market. With government jobs, expanding suburbs, and a steady influx of residents priced out of coastal cities, it became a go-to destination for stability. But now, even this powerhouse city is starting to feel the pressure of a changing water landscape. Sacramento relies heavily on a combination of river systems and imported water, but increasing drought conditions across the state are putting that supply under stress. Snowpack levels in the Sierra Nevada, one of California's main water sources, have become less predictable, and when that supply drops, cities like Sacramento feel it quickly. This isn't just a seasonal issue anymore. It's becoming a long-term concern. Now here's where housing comes into play. As water supply becomes less reliable, infrastructure has to work harder to keep up. That means higher costs for maintenance, upgrades, and distribution systems, costs that often get passed down to residents through taxes and utility bills. Over time, this can quietly reduce affordability, even in areas that once seemed budget-friendly. Developers are also starting to take notice. Large housing projects require guaranteed water access, and in some cases, approvals are slowing down because of uncertainty around future supply. This could limit how fast Sacramento can grow, which directly impacts housing demand and pricing trends. And while Sacramento isn't in crisis mode yet, the warning signs are clear. Buyers are becoming more cautious, especially those thinking long-term. The idea of investing in a city with potential resource limitations is making people pause. Takeaway: Sacramento still looks strong today, but with water uncertainty increasing, its future growth could slow, turning a once-safe bet into a carefully calculated risk. Would you invest in a growing city if its future water supply wasn't guaranteed? Tell me in the comments. We put real effort into uncovering insights like this. So don't forget to subscribe. It's just one click. Number 5, Palm Springs. At first glance, Palm Springs looks like a dream. Luxury homes, golf courses, pools, and endless sunshine. It's a hot spot for retirees, investors, and vacation buyers looking for a slice of desert paradise. But behind this glamorous image lies a serious concern. This entire lifestyle depends on a fragile and limited water supply. Palm Springs sits in the desert, which means it naturally lacks abundant water resources. To support its booming housing market and tourism industry, the city relies heavily on imported water and underground aquifers. The problem? Both of these sources are under increasing pressure. Drought conditions across California are reducing imported water availability, while groundwater reserves are being used faster than they can recover. Now think about what that means for housing. Maintaining lush landscapes, swimming pools, and golf courses requires huge amounts of water. As restrictions tighten, homeowners may face limits on usage, rising costs, and even changes to property aesthetics. A luxury home without greenery or water features suddenly feels less luxurious. This is already starting to influence buyer behavior. High-end investors are becoming more cautious, especially those thinking long-term. The fear is an immediate collapse. It's gradual decline. If water becomes too expensive or restricted, demand for these properties could weaken, leading to slower price growth or even drops in value. There's also the issue of sustainability. Cities like Palm Springs may be forced to rethink development entirely. Future projects could face stricter regulations, limiting expansion and changing the market dynamic. Takeaway: Palm Springs may look like a paradise today, but its future depends on water. And if that supply tightens, even luxury real estate could face a quiet but powerful correction. Would you buy a luxury home in a desert city with water risks? Let me know below. We put serious effort into these insights, so don't forget to subscribe. It's just one click. Number 4, Riverside. Over the past decade, Riverside has become one of California's fastest growing cities. Families priced out of Los Angeles have moved here in large numbers, drawn by relatively affordable homes and new developments. On the surface, it feels like a success story. But underneath that growth lies a growing concern. Water supply is not keeping up with population demand. Riverside depends on a mix of local groundwater and imported water sources. The problem is, both are under pressure. Groundwater levels are declining due to overuse, while imported supplies are becoming less reliable as drought conditions intensify across the western United States. Simply put, more people are arriving, but the water they depend on is becoming increasingly limited. Now here's where it starts to impact everyday life and the housing market. As water becomes scarcer, utility costs are rising. Residents are paying more for basic usage, and during drought periods, restrictions can limit how water is used at home. This affects everything from landscaping to daily routines, slowly changing what it feels like to live in the area. For potential buyers, these signals matter. When people compare cities, They don't just look at home prices anymore. They look at long-term sustainability. And if a city is growing faster than its resources can support, it raises red flags. This can lead to slower demand, longer selling times, and pressure on property values over time. Developers are also facing new challenges. Large-scale housing projects require guaranteed water access, and in some cases, approvals are becoming more complicated due to supply concerns. This could slow Riverside's expansion, which has been a key driver of its housing market. Takeaway: Riverside's rapid growth is impressive, but without a stable water future, it could turn into a classic case of overexpansion meeting hard limits. Do you think fast-growing cities like Riverside are expanding too quickly for their resources? Share your thoughts below. We put real effort into these insights, so don't forget to subscribe. It's just one click. Number 3. San Bernardino. At first glance, San Bernardino might seem like an affordable alternative in Southern California, a place where buyers can still find lower home prices compared to nearby cities. But behind that affordability lies a deeper issue. The city is dealing with a combination of chronic water stress, aging infrastructure, and economic challenges, and together, they're putting serious pressure on the housing market. San Bernardino has faced repeated drought conditions over the years, and like many inland cities, it relies heavily on groundwater and imported supplies. The problem is, both sources are becoming less reliable. Groundwater levels are declining, while imported water is becoming more expensive and harder to secure due to regional shortages. This creates a situation where the city must do more with less, and that strain is starting to show. One of the biggest concerns here is infrastructure. Parts of San Bernardino still rely on older water systems that weren't designed for today's population or climate conditions. That means higher maintenance costs, potential service disruptions, and long-term uncertainty. For homeowners, this translates into rising utility bills and concerns about reliability of basic resources. Now connect that to housing. When a city struggles with both economic stability and resource availability, it creates hesitation among buyers. People may be attracted by low prices, but they also start asking important questions. Will this area improve or decline? That uncertainty can slow demand and keep property values from growing. There's also a social impact. Water stress combined with economic challenges can accelerate migration as families look for more stable environments. When people leave, housing demand weakens, and that can lead to a cycle that's hard to reverse. Takeaway: San Bernardino may offer affordability today, but with multiple pressures building at once, it could face a slow and steady housing decline if conditions don't improve. Would you choose affordability over long-term stability when buying a home? Let me know below. We put serious effort into bringing you insights like this. So don't forget to subscribe. It's just one click. Number 2, Los Angeles. When you think of Los Angeles, you think of opportunity, luxury, and one of the most powerful housing markets in the world. Millions of people, endless development, and sky-high property values. But here's the uncomfortable truth. This entire system depends on a fragile and highly stretched water supply. Los Angeles doesn't naturally have enough water to support its massive population. Instead, it relies heavily on imported water from sources like the Colorado River and Northern California. The problem? These sources are under serious pressure from drought, climate change, and overuse. As supply tightens across the region, cities like Los Angeles are being forced to rethink how they sustain growth. Now here's where things get real for homeowners and investors. Maintaining a city of this scale requires enormous amounts of water, not just for homes, but for businesses, landscaping, and infrastructure. As water becomes more limited, costs are rising. Residents are already seeing higher utility bills and stricter usage rules, and this trend is expected to continue. But the bigger concern is long-term sustainability. Buyers are starting to ask questions they didn't ask before. Can this city keep growing? Will water shortages impact property values? And when those doubts begin to spread, even a strong market like Los Angeles can feel the pressure. There's also a growing divide. High-end areas may continue to thrive in the short term, but middle and lower-income neighborhoods could face increasing challenges as costs rise. This creates an uneven housing landscape where stability isn't guaranteed for everyone. Takeaway: Los Angeles may look unstoppable today, but with water dependency at its core, even this megacity could face a slow but significant shift in its housing future. Do you think even major cities like Los Angeles can run into serious resource limits? Share your thoughts below. We put real effort into uncovering insights like this. So don't forget to subscribe. It's just one click. Number 1. San Diego. At first glance, San Diego looks like one of the most desirable places to live in the United States. Stunning coastline, perfect weather, booming real estate. It feels almost untouchable. But behind this picture-perfect image lies a growing concern that experts are watching closely. San Diego's long-term water security is far from guaranteed. Unlike some inland cities, San Diego doesn't have abundant natural freshwater sources. Instead, it relies heavily on imported water, especially from the Colorado River and Northern California. The issue? These sources are becoming increasingly unreliable due to prolonged drought, climate shifts, and overallocation. In simple terms, the city depends on water that is already under extreme stress. To solve this, San Diego has invested in solutions like desalination, turning ocean water into drinking water. While this sounds promising, it comes at a cost, a very high cost. Desalinated water is significantly more expensive than traditional sources, and those costs are ultimately passed on to residents through rising utility bills and taxes. Now think about what this means for the housing market. When the cost of basic living increases, affordability takes a hit. Buyers begin to factor in long-term expenses, not just the purchase price. And if water becomes one of the most expensive utilities, it could slowly reduce demand, especially among middle-income buyers. There's also a psychological shift happening. People are becoming more aware of sustainability risks. A beautiful home near the coast may still attract buyers today, but concerns about future water availability grow. That demand could weaken over time. Takeaway: San Diego may be one of the most attractive cities in California, but its heavy reliance on expensive and uncertain water sources makes it one of the highest-risk housing markets for the future. Would you invest in a dream city if its future resources were uncertain? Let me know in the comments. We put serious effort into bringing you insights like this. So don't forget to subscribe. It's just one click. What we just uncovered isn't just about droughts or rising temperatures. It's about a fundamental shift in how people will live, invest, and survive in the future. From Fresno to San Diego, one thing is becoming clear. Water is no longer guaranteed, and neither is housing stability. For decades, California's housing market has been driven by location, lifestyle, and opportunity. But now, a new factor is quietly taking control: resource security. Cities that once looked like smart investments are now facing hidden risks, where water shortages can influence property values, increase living costs, and even push people to leave. And the most surprising part? This shift isn't happening in the distant future. It's already underway. The reality is simple but powerful. A home is only as valuable as the resources that support it. Without reliable water, even the most beautiful property can become a financial burden instead of an asset. That's why more buyers, investors, and even policymakers are starting to rethink long-term decisions. So the big question is, what would you do? Would you still invest in a high-demand city if its future water supply was uncertain? Or would you start looking for places where sustainability comes first? Because in the end, this isn't just a California story. It's a preview of what could happen in many parts of the world. Which city shocked you the most? And would you still consider living there? Drop your thoughts below. We put a lot of effort into bringing you real, eye-opening content like this. So make sure to subscribe. It's just one click.